Thanks
So
for telling everybody how old I am.
Well,
that's nice.
That's why I put the point in there, so there's a question. So
Okay.
now she's, now she's 5.2, everyone. So,
Okay.
All right. So you ready to try
That
a
was
beer?
uncalled for.
I also.
You and me, we meant to be in the great outdoors, forever free.
Hi, this is Keith from Travels and Tales. I don't know if you guys know it, but in 1978, this week, October 14th, President Jimmy Carter made homebrewing legal. So this is Homebrewing Legalization Week, and I like to brew my own beer. So I'm going to bring Melissa in a little bit later. We're going to taste some of my beers, but I just want to tell you a little bit about what I do. I started out the brewing company. We call it Nick's Brewing. And part of that came from my dad. When he was in the hospital, before he passed away, I sat next to him. And if you look, the Nick's here looks like a tattoo. Well, it's the same tattoo that I have here. And my dad, Nick, had it also. He got it when he was in the Navy. And when he was in the hospital, I sat next to him and I looked at that tattoo over and over. One of the things I thought about was that he and I had never really been able to enjoy a beer together. When I was a kid, sometimes I'd take a sip off the top of his can, maybe, but we never were able to enjoy a beer. So it was something that after he passed away, and Melissa and I will talk about, there's a sequence of events that lead up to it, but I started brewing my own beer almost 10 years ago. So next year it'll be 10 years. And the way I start is it's a little easier to start with some type of a base. So this is a malt base, and they come in all different darknesses, different flavors. And this is what is going to give you the flavor, the darkness, whether you're going to do a golden beer, whether you're going to do a porter or a stout. So this is the beginning that you will start with. And you boil a wort. Now what I've done is I try to add a lot of natural flavors. So on some of these I will talk about what I've done to add the flavoring to the beer to make it more unique and to make it more my own and to kind of fit the name that I choose for it. Because I have as much fun naming the beers and getting Melissa to help me work on the labels as I do making the beer. Well, once the wort is made, goes into one of these guys right here. This is where the magic happens. So this is the fermenter. This holds, I believe, about 4 gallons, and that which ends up being, to me, never a full case of beer. I think I overfill my beers, so I always end up with somewhere around 18 to 20 beers possibly, but never a full case when I make it. I do cap my own bottles, as you can see. So this is the bottle capper that goes on and it caps the bottle. You put sugar in when you bottle it because the sugar starts the carbonation. It starts the fermentation over again. That's what causes the beer to carbonate inside the bottle, and that's what gives it the fizz. But I hope you enjoy watching us taste some of these, and we'll see which one Melissa likes the best. I have 4 that I've made over the years. I've probably made close to 20 different beers. There are some that I try to be more consistent with and make every year, but I'm always trying something new. Hey Melissa, you want to try some beers?
Do I want to try some beers?
These are...
I'm always up for trying some beer.
All right.
Hey guys!
Nick's Brews right here. So, you know I've been brewing my own beer for a while now, right?
Yes.
I guess
for a long time.
I guess it started on some of our Michigan trips. When we go to Michigan, we would bring beers from Maryland, and then we would get local beers from Michigan, and we'd have a big sampling with all Melissa's friends.
Yep, we did. Or we do.
and we would always pick which ones we liked. So I think it was the twins gave me a kit one year, and I decided to make my own. And that's probably, I believe, it will be 10 years next year. I think I started 2011 after Dad passed away.
Oh, really?
So I think that was one of the things. So
wow,
I have
10 years. That seems like a long time.
Yep, and and some people would say I've not gotten any better, but I've not really gotten any worse.
That's untrue.
All right, so we're gonna try some beers. We're gonna try Green Lake 2020, which next year will be my 10th year anniversary of that, and we call this one Larry Lee's lineup. We'll talk about that. Schmidt and Verks, which that is my dad, Nicky Nichols, right there on the label. On that one, we are going to try Maple Bourbon Stout, which is probably the one. I made this one this year. This is the one that has the most going on. So we'll talk about what's in that, and then we have one of your own from your 5.0 birthday, Mellabrew 5.0.
Thanks
so
for telling
we'll
everybody
see.
how old I am.
Well,
that's nice.
That's why I put the point in there. So there's a question. So
Okay.
now she's. Well, now she's 5.2, everyone. So,
Okay.
All right. So you ready to try
That was
beer?
uncalled for.
I also have some crackers here, and I even have some beef jerky. This is from Mikowski's Market. Smoked
Where?
beef jerky from Carlin, Michigan. We always get when we're in Michigan,
We
so
love
that's a
it.
good break, and it goes great with beer. So let's pop open Green Lake 2020 first.
Okay.
So. Green Lake was probably the second beer I ever made. I think the first beer I made was a.
What is it? My dad always kept saying, "Keep trying."
Yep, keep trying. It'll get there. It'll get there. So we
All
do.
right,
So
cool.
this is Larry Lee's lineup, which shows the view from the lake house on Green Lake in Michigan that we visit every year. So that is great, and that's Larry Lee is Melissa's dad, and
Hi, Dad.
he and Judy are very nice to let us come visit every year and play with a lot of their toys and
Yes.
play on the lake. So let's sample a little bit of Green Lake. So the Green Lake, if you remember, when I make this one, I use Michigan dried cherries. So I put about a half cup of Michigan dried cherries in that. I use honey, and
It's very good.
the last couple years, because it's definitely a Michigan style beer, I have added half a cup of Vernors. So anyone who knows Michigan or is from Michigan, you know your Vernors. So that adds a little bit of flavor, a little bit different, maybe vanilla, hopefully. But
Yeah, smuggle back to Maryland every year, several
Nice
cases
sample.
of Vernors, because we have to have it here, or we would be lost without our Vernors.
that
It's
one
like
is
our
good.
comfort drink.
That's you get a little bit of the Michigan cherry. And I've played with this one over the years. This is probably my most consistent beer. One year I didn't have dried
Yeah.
cherries.
Please
and
tell the story. That
I
one
didn't
was
have
not good.
didn't have dried cherries, and so I used a can of cherry pie filling, and it killed the carbonation on the beer. I still ended up drinking every one. You just have to shake them up a little bit first, but I think that was when Grandpa Larry said keep trying, it'll get there. But that was not one of his favorites. I think we have a family picture that shows him drinking it and the face that he's making when he's drinking it.
I'll see if I
So,
can find it.
keep that one in mind. Next is Schmidt and Verks. So,
There is a story with that one.
yeah, if you guys, any of you who knew my dad or have heard me tell stories about my dad, knows that Nicky had a lot of different sayings. Many times. Now, I call my grandson Bunk, and that was because if you were in good favor with Nick, you were Bunk. If you were in trouble, you became Buster. So
Oh.
Lindsay said
Okay.
she said, Dad, make sure you call Lincoln Bunk like Pop-Up Nicky called you. So if you were, now Schmidt and Verks though was another saying that Dad would say, and that usually was, to put it in context, it would have been something like this: you ruined the whole Schmidt and Verks. So the Schmidt and Verks is like the whole thing.
Like a whole.
Yep, the whole
thing.
All of it together.
Kit
You
and
ruined the
caboodle.
whole kit and caboodle, the whole
Okay.
Schmidt and Verks. So here's Nick, and that's with his 1978 Olds Cutlass S on
that's
here that
quite a
I remember
hairdo
when he
also.
bought that. Yeah, had it. And if you notice, he do not smoke, but he's got a little cigarette in his
my
hand
goodness,
there
yeah.
too. So Schmidt and Verks, and what is in Schmidt and Verks actually? It is a ale, and I put
What kind
three
of
of Dad's favorite things. Oh, just a
Like a
medium
light
ale.
ale?
Yeah, it's a
Oh, okay.
medium ale. I put three of Dad's favorite things in this ale. So
Okay,
it has,
what are they?
It has dried pineapple, which my dad made an
Dried
awesome.
pineapple. It
my,
does.
My dad made an awesome pineapple upside down cake. He did not bake. He did like to cook, but he made an awesome pineapple upside down cake. This has also pistachio, which was one of my dad's favorite nuts. He couldn't eat it after a while. He wasn't allowed to have them. And bacon.
Those don't sound like they go together.
But they're part
is
of
that the whole point?
Part of the Schmittenwerks. They're the whole Schmittenwerks.
Okay.
So
right.
I either made
so basically,
a good...
anything in your refrigerator, just put it in a beer.
I'm saying, that is part of Nick's Brewing, is that I like to experiment with flavors. So all of those go into the wort when it's being boiled. So I boiled the dried pineapple. I had the pistachios added in also. Oh, she's taking it. She's going to try it.
Cheers.
And the bacon in there. So what do you think of that flavor?
Ooh.
The whole Schmittenwerks. Now, the one thing I will say about beer is that beer is not like wine. Beer doesn't age well, so beer is usually better to drink fresh.
I don't know what I taste.
This is not.
I mean, it tastes good, but I don't know
look
what
at the coloring on that. It's
I don't
a nice
know what's
color.
standing out to me. Maybe the pistachio. I'm not sure.
To me, it's just a nice, fairly smooth, and I think
it is really smooth.
If you paired it with, I could see sitting somewhere dropping a bacon, a stick of bacon in here, or possibly putting a pineapple slice on the side of it.
Yeah, that would be good.
If you did something like that, that's what's going to make it pull out that flavor. To me, I get a little bit of the fruity flavor. I get some of the fruity.
I taste a little bit of the fruit. Mm-hmm. It doesn't taste like pineapple to me. It just tastes sweet, I guess. Mm-hmm. But I taste more of the pistachio, I think.
Schmittenwerks, Larry Lee's lineup. This has the longest name of any beer in history.
Are we putting them like in order? Because to me, this one is number one, and that's
all right, I'll let you do
I
that.
haven't tried the other ones yet.
I'll let you do that. So
okay.
Now next, this one was this year, and this actually I used two different bases. So I used a stout base on this one, and I used an ale base. And the idea with that is you use the two different malt bases. It's going to bring up the alcohol content.
Oh.
I also, on this one, I used two different types of hops. So you know what hops do to beer?
I don't know what hops do to beer, but I'm sure you're going to tell us, right?
If they did not have hops on beer, most of these are my own. I like these American flag labels too, or the American flag bottle caps.
Yeah,
so I'll put these on. So they are pretty cool. So hops, beer, because it has a lot of sugar in beer, because what happens with beer is you add the sugar to the yeast. The yeast eats the sugar and produces alcohol. Mm-hmm. So beer would naturally be sweet. So hops add the bitterness. So when you think of the bitterness, so it adds the bitterness to the beer. Okay. And so some people love super hopped beer that gets really bitter, almost like you're eating a bale of hay or some grass clippings from the backyard. I call this one Maple Bourbon Stout because we added the hops, two different types of hops, once in the beginning of the boil, once at the end of the boil, but then they did stay in during the entire fermentation process. And once I put this in the fermentation tank over here, this guy, I also took oak chips, and I took a half a cup of bourbon and a half a cup of maple syrup. I let those two soak together for 15 days. Then I added that the last 5 days of the fermentation. I added that, so this should have a little bit of maple flavor, maybe a little bit of oak flavor, and then it should have some nice bitterness from the hops that we're going to add. So let's see.
But this has bourbon in it too.
It has bourbon in it, yes.
How much bourbon did you put in?
This one, I made that one before, my Maple Bourbon Stout.
What happened to that one? I remember a story
so that Maple Bourbon Stout, one thing that can happen when you brew your own beer is that it can overcarbonate. Now look at that. That's got a nice stout head, very dark beer. Here, I'll let you take the first sip.
Try it?
Sure. Okay. One thing that can happen when you are making beer is you can overcarbonate. So when you bottle the beer, you put a little bit of sugar in the bottom and you cap it. the fermentation process starts over again, and that's what causes the fizziness, gives you the carbonation in the beer. Well, I used honey bourbon when I made my bourbon before, and I think I overcarbonated because we did have 3 that exploded in the, we were driving from Michigan and they blew up in the car.
Yeah.
It exploded. It sounded like either we had blown a tire or someone had shot at us.
Yeah. I pretty much was convinced people were shooting at us and that we were going to expire on that trip. So that was
now, see,
a very scary situation.
I like the dark beers. I did spend some time with adding different flavors, different flavorings to that also. So what do you pick up? Do you get the maple? Get the bourbon?
I think I get the bourbon.
It's just a nice,
I don't
rich beer.
Taste any maple. Do you?
I get a little bit of maple. I get sometimes it's the little bit of the aftertaste, the lingering taste inside your, when you. I could drink this one though. This one.
I mean, it is very
I like the dark beers
good.
anyway.
Yeah, your number one favorite is Guinness, so I feel like you were probably aspiring to that.
That's this was one I actually saw a recipe, so I followed the recipe.
You did?
Yeah, I followed the recipe. So that's was
shocking.
Not my own creation.
He doesn't usually do that.
Yeah, that was not my own creation.
He likes to go off the cuff.
I do normally. So now the last one was for Melissa's birthday. So when we did that one, I said, Melissa, so, some of her favorite things, and we would make it into a beer.
Yep.
So it is called Mel Brew. And in that beer, if you look at the top of it, it's actually wrapped in the wrapping from a Dove chocolate bar, because Dove chocolate is one of her favorites. So I added those because...
Here, I'll give this to you.
Thank you.
I was just showing you.
And then that is Mel's own emoji. What do you call it? Moji? What do you call it? Bitmoji or Bitmoji? Okay. And if you look, she's holding chocolate and orange, because this Dove has 5 Dove chocolates were boiled into the wort, one for each decade that you were alive.
Wow.
And then I also used orange zest and oranges in the wort.
Oh, okay.
So,
yeah,
and these come along with the little sayings that you get. So this one, we didn't look at this before. It says, "Your vibe attracts your tribe." So there you go. So
I love
that
it.
is the.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's
that
totally
was the
me.
cover. All right.
And I think you purposely picked that one because
that was one of the last ones. Some of these they're actually down to some of the last ones that I have.
Cleanse
you got to cleanse in between. So.
Well, you haven't been cleansing.
I'm okay. I'm all right. So Mel Brew. So this one is going to be a little bit darker. I think it was a little bit of a porter nut brown base, and we added the Dove chocolate and the orange. So see if this one's held up. See if it still
because this is 2 years old, because I just had a birthday. So.
Yeah, that's right. So
this is.
It's been around for a little while, but it has a cool label too, which we enjoy the label. Try.
Yeah, I think it's held up.
Still good?
It's still good, yeah. It's
I mean,
delicious.
these two are definitely more fruity. I think you get the pineapple.
This, I think, could have had more chocolate taste.
Always more chocolate.
Yes.
I think
because I do love my Dove chocolate. It is the best.
I think the stout base would have imparted more chocolate too. Because I have done another. I did a Be Brave Brown for our grandson, in honor of our grandson when he was born.
In the show?
Oh, I don't know if you can see it on the back, but Be Brave. And that was Lincoln's bedroom was Be Brave Little One. So I did Be Brave Brown, and that was actually a version or my clone of Dewclaw's Sweet Baby Jesus, which had chocolate and peanut butter. So I used peanut butter powder and cocoa powder. That was pretty good.
Really
I'm going to have to redo that one. Let me try yours again now. It's been a while since I had a Mel Brew.
What do you think?
I get the more chocolate than I do orange.
Did I do good with the choices?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
orange and chocolate are good together.
I may have to do that again for your 5.5 or 6.0.
Good God.
And we can play around and see. That's the one thing I always try not to do.
I think next time more chocolate.
I try not to. I mean, because it would be easy enough to buy orange flavoring and put several drops of orange flavoring
Yeah,
in.
yeah.
Put chocolate
He puts
flavoring
all
in.
natural.
So I try to do it by adding it to the boil when I'm making it and add the flavor that way and not adding any artificial flavoring.
Right.
So what was your favorite out of these? I gotta sample them again. Larry Lee, we can never go wrong with you. You got a good beer here. I like the little fruitiness of that.
I don't know how to even put these in order.
Mm.
I think I do like this one the best, but I often do like something with a little fruit to
fruitiness.
it. So, although, I mean, I do like a Guinness as well, so I don't know.
Mm-hmm. These, and I think to me, it's almost, beer is something that you decide what you want to have it with. So if it's a hot day and you're outside, like if we're out fishing on the boat, the Green Lake 2020 is great out on Green Lake in the summer.
Mm-hmm.
But
I did take one of these out one day.
Yeah,
too, so,
that's true.
To
me, this is a good sipping beer, this Maple Bourbon Stout, because it has so much. And I think if you sip on it, take your time with it, you can kind of figure out, because it's pretty complex. It has a lot going on. So there's a lot of love in this beer here.
Well, there's a lot of love in all your beers. Because he really does a great job and puts a lot of love and effort into his creations. So if you are blessed to, have a beer with Keith that he's created, you should appreciate it for sure.
It's, as I said, to me, it's fun. I do enjoy making. I wish my dad and I had been able to share some of these. That was one of the things. So I'm very happy to be able to share them with Larry Lee when we were up there. So I think I think we both enjoy it. It's nice to be able to share one of those. Share, especially at Larry Lee's line.
I think he does
enjoy
you making him beers too.
Yeah. And I think he's
and he's saved all your bottles. I've noticed. He's got them.
I think he's glad they taste better now.
True.
I think he did. I give him credit. He suffered through every one of them over the years. He did. He tried them all. He always tried them all. So that was. But I think he is glad that they are tasting better. So, and then Ron and our Michigan crew, all of our friends.
Yeah, definitely. All the people up in Michigan, we usually leave a few in the refrigerator so they can try, and we've gotten, they always say how great they are. So
people enjoy them. So it is a fun hobby if it's something that you want to look into. Mr. Beer is a great little beginning kit. Yeah. I prefer to stay with this. I've talked to people who have gone, to having the giant containers or making kegs and things, but I like to do the small batches. And that way I feel like I can play around with the flavorings and things. Because I enjoy as much playing around with the labels and setting those up and knowing each beer has its own story too. So each one of these beers has its own little story when I come up with it. So are we done? I guess we have finished.
I guess we're going to finish these beers, but I guess we're done with you guys.
The samples. And as far as I can say, Melissa is like me, is that I consider all these part of our family.
I think
so
they're good. Yeah. I can't really rate them. I think I would be like offending you if I did.
Each one has its own characteristics.
I do.
So
I will say if I have to pick one that I like the best, I think it's the Green Lake.
Okay. All right.
Okay. Yeah, that's my favorite.
All right. Well, we will see you guys next time. Hopefully the weather will be out doing some travels, but there are always plenty of tales to tell as well.
Yeah, we've got a lot of tales to tell.
So please click that subscribe button, comment if you want to talk about making beer, if you want more beer videos.
If you're a beer maker.
Yep. Let us know if you have any ideas about any beers
like a beer you want us to make.
Create.
That would be amazing.
Maybe we'll film the next time. Maybe we'll film some of my actual brewing.
Yeah, I could totally film him doing that. That would be fun. Comment below if you'd like us to make a video about that, so you can see the inside works of Nick's brewing.
The process. Yep.
Okay, we're signing out.
Cheers, big ears.
See ya.
All right, have a great day.